Hello children, so this is your teacher McEnroe again, and I hope that you are as usual doing fine. Okay, so let's proceed. So what do we have today? I'm going to teach you, or I would say that I'm going to take up the lesson name The Happy Prince. Okay, the Happy Prince of your class. So what you have to do exactly, you have to bring your book, place it right in front of you, and do as I say. All right? The Happy Prince is actually the name of the lesson and a work of Oscar Wilde. This is the name of the author, Oscar Wilde. Okay, let me just write the name of the writer so that you will be knowing how to pronounce it, because most of the students don't know how to pronounce this one. Okay, this is actually Wilde. So Oscar Wilde is the name of the writer. Okay, fine. So let me just take you to the introduction of the lesson. This story is about a prince. Prince, do you know what is prince? P-R-I-N-C-E, prince. Yep. Prince is actually the son or from the royal family, the young person of the family who is belong to the royal one, the royal family, like the king and the queens. Okay, so that person is called prince. Okay, he may be the son of the king and queen. Not maybe, actually he is the son, or actually from the royal family. Yep. So let me give you the introduction of this lesson. This story is about a prince. You know what is prince, right? Yes, from the royal family. P-R-I-N-C-E, prince. When the prince was alive, he was very happy. After his death, a big statue of his was erected on a pedestal. Okay, what is the meaning of pedestal here? Repeat. What is the meaning of pedestal here? Pedestals mean the place of honor. Okay, the statue of the prince was erected in a place where it should be, or where it could be honored by the people of that town or of that country. Okay, so when the prince died, his statue was erected in one particular place, and on a pedestal, I would say. Okay, and the meaning of that is, I told you already, pedestal means the place of honor. All right, it's there on the screen, you can have a look. From there, the statue of prince could see the entire city, and at that time he saw the miseries of the people. Okay, now that's a little bit confusing, right? That the statue has been erected and he could see everything from where it was erected, and he could see the miseries of those people and the madness of those people who were in that country. How was he able to see everything when it was just a statue? So how was the prince able to see everything which was happening in his country, in his locality, in his town? So let's get to know about that, what had happened to the statue, and how the statue was able to see everything. He saw the poor people, the homeless, their hunger and starvation. The prince was sad to see all these miseries, sadness of the people. Okay, whatever was appearing right in front of him, he could see that whatever was happening in some corner, he would see the people starving. You know the meaning of starving? Hungry. When people are hungry. He could see the poverty also, the poverty of those innocent people who lived in that town, in that country. So in this chapter, we will study the story of the prince. Okay? So now let me just provide you the explanation. All right? The explanation of this story. High above the city on a tall column stood the statue of the happy prince. He was gilded. What you have to do is, you just try to turn the page to the lesson named The Happy Prince and just follow me. All right? These paragraphs are there in your book, so you just have to be careful. Repeat. You just have to look at the book and go through the paragraphs as I will be reading them. And I'll give you the meaning of them also. I'll explain. High above the city on a tall column stood the statue of the Happy Prince. He was gilded all over with thin leaves of fine gold. For eyes he had 2 bright sapphires, and a large red ruby glowed on his sword hilt. Okay? This is actually the description of the statue. Okay? Here, the meaning of gilded, G-I-L-D-E-D, is actually to cover it with something or coat of something. Means, like coating of something. For example, the statue was made of some fine gold, okay, and his eyes were made of sapphires and some large red ruby. Those are the precious gems, actually the stones. Those are really expensive. And these expensive ornaments which were actually placed on his eyes, and then his sword was also made of red ruby. Okay, H-I-L-T, hilt. The handle of a weapon or tool, especially a sword, is called a hilt. Okay, H-I-L-T, hilt. That is actually the handle of a weapon or tool, especially a sword, is called a hilt, and that was also made of a precious stone again. The statue of a prince stood on a high platform overlooking the city. Please look at your book. It's the paragraph in your book. Let me read it for you. The statue of a prince stood on a high platform overlooking the city. This prince was called a happy prince because when he was alive, he always remained very happy. Upon his death, a big statue of his was erected in the center of the city in his remembrance. In the handle of his sword, a bright ruby stone was placed. This statue was not a normal statue. It was an expensive statue of a prince. And here, when the prince was alive, he was a happy prince. And instead of his eyeballs, what were placed over there, it was covered with the shining sapphire stones. And the handle of the sword was made of red ruby, as I told you earlier. Okay, so let's continue. I hope that you are following me. You have to. So you are having your book, so just do that. Okay, meanwhile, I'll just give you the explanation again. One night, there flew over the city a little swallow. Swallow is actually a name of a tiny bird. A bird, actually. So, the statue was erected there, okay, on a pedestal. And one fine night, there was this swallow who flew, okay. His friends had gone away to Egypt 6 weeks before. His is referred to that swallow. Okay, his is actually referring to that swallow. So his friends had gone away to Egypt 6 weeks before, but he had stayed behind. Then he decided to go to Egypt too. Okay, so this was the problem with the swallow. All of his friends had already flown for Egypt. That was 6 weeks before. Yep, that was 6 weeks before. And he stayed behind. Then he decided to go to Egypt also. Okay. Now let me just give you some description about the swallow. Okay. The description about the swallow, that is the bird. Swallow is a tiny bird. Although it is not a human being, still the writer is referring to it as he and his. That's what I told you, right? His is referring to the bird, the swallow. He says that all the friends of this swallow had flown away to Egypt 6 weeks ago. This bird did not go with them, but later it thought of going to Egypt to his friends. So it was on its way to Egypt. Yes? So this swallow didn't go along with his friends who had flown to Egypt 6 weeks ago, but now he had decided that he just want to go to those birds, the flocks of those birds who left him, the swallow. Okay, let's proceed. All day long he flew. It's there in the book, okay? All day long he flew, and at night time he arrived at the city. Where shall I put up? He said, I hope the town has made preparations. Okay? This is actually the statement and the thought of the swallow. Now the swallow is talking. You have to be careful with that. Okay, that whom I'm talking about and what I'm referring to. Because this story is a beautiful story, and you will learn something from this one. So please concentrate on what I'm doing right now and try to listen, as I will be give you the complete explanation, the narration, and also the summary. All right? And in between, I'm giving you also the difficult words meaning. Try to use them in your sentences whenever you are speaking or writing. Okay? Yes. So let me again read it. All day long he flew, and at night time he arrived at the city. Where shall I put up? That was a statement of the swallow. He was asking himself where I'm supposed to put up. Okay, here the meaning of put up is to stay, where to stay. Okay, here the meaning of put up is actually where to live. In examples, you can use this term. It's a phrasal word, you could say, a phrasal verb. You can say like this. Okay, for example, I'm just giving you the example of this word that where you can use it. For example, I would say that I am going to Mumbai tomorrow. I don't know where I'm going to put up. That means that where I'm going to stay in Mumbai. Okay, or else you can use like this also in your sentence. All right, just come to Andaman. I will tell you where you have to put up. Means you come to Andaman, I will tell you that where you have to stay. Okay, this is how you have to, or you could use this word in your sentences. All right, because it's going to make a lot of difference whenever you're using such words in your sentences. He said, I hope the town has made preparations. He is again telling to himself. Who? The swallow. The swallow is talking to himself. He is saying that where he is going to stay, and he is hoping, the swallow is hoping that the city has made some preparations for him to stay there. Okay, that's what he is thinking, the swallow is thinking. Remember what is swallow? It's a bird, it's a tiny bird. Okay, so this bird kept on flying on its way to Egypt, and at night it reached the city of the happy prince. It was traveling, right? And on its way to Egypt, he just stopped in one place called the happy prince place, the city of the happy prince. Remember I told you the happy prince, the statue? Yes. It reached the city of the happy prince. It wanted to stay somewhere for the night. It thinks upon where to stay at night. The bird says that hopefully the city has made some arrangement for it to stay. Yes, further I am explaining so that you will remember the story. Obviously, the bird was talking to itself that where he is going to stay and what is the arrangement that city has made for him to stay. That was, he was wondering, right? The swallow was wondering that where he is going to stay. So here, further we'll see. Obviously, the bird does not mean what it is saying. We can say that probably the bird is being humorous. Of course, have you seen any bird talking? No, right? But in this one, in this story, the bird is talking to himself and he is telling himself that where he is going to stay and what the city has made arrangements for him to stay. Of course, it's a humorous thing. So, concentrate, kids. You are here and I'm narrating you or giving you the explanation of this beautiful story. So do follow. Then he saw the statue of the tall column. I will put up there, he cried. It is a fine position with plenty of fresh air. So he alighted just between the feet of the happy prince. You got that right now? Did you understand? Yes. When he was flying, he just stopped in that place, the place of the happy prince, the city of the happy prince. And then what happened? He just saw a big statue. And whose statue was that? The prince. It was the statue of the prince. So this tiny bird, the swallow, stopped there. And then let's see what had happened again. Yes, he cried. Means, like he again talked to itself, the swallow. It is a fine position with plenty of fresh air. So he thought that the statue of the prince would be a better place for him actually, because here we are using the gender, him and his, and he obviously the swallow. Okay, so he found that it's a beautiful and again a safest place for him to stay there. So that's why the swallow decided to stop, and he alighted just between the feet of the happy prince. Alighted means like he fixed himself in between of the feet of the statue. Okay, the feet of the statue, because the statue is big. Let's move on. Now when this tiny bird saw this huge statue of the happy prince, it thought of staying for the night. Yes, I'm repeating. All right, just for you to know and just for you to understand actually the entire story, because whenever I am going to ask you the questions later, you will have to be prepared to answer those also. Okay, and those words which I have told you to use in your sentences whenever you are writing and whenever you are speaking, do use those words. Okay, yes. So the bird thought it was a good place to spend the night. Which place I'm talking about here? Which place? The statue of the happy prince, which was erected on the pedestal. There was shelter and a lot of fresh air. So the bird came and alighted. Alighted means in between of the feet of the statue. Okay, beneath. Okay, it stopped and sat in between the feet of the statue of the happy prince. Yes, it stopped there and it decided to stay overnight. I have a golden bedroom. Kids, I hope that you are following me with your book over there, as I told you earlier. It's there, right? Your book. Please, if you have not brought it yet, just place it right in front of you so that you won't be having any kind of confusion. Okay? The name of the book is The Moments, from the supplementary reader of class 9. Yes, I'm reminding you, you must have forgotten. Okay? The name of the book is The Moments, and it's from the supplementary reader of class 9. Okay. I have a golden bedroom. This is the statement of the swallow, and it's there in your book. I'm reading out the paragraph. I have a golden bedroom, he said softly to himself as he looked around and he prepared to go to sleep. But just as he was putting his head under his wing, a large drop of water fell on him. When he was about to sleep, right? Who? The swallow. Where it was sleeping. Where he was sleeping, the swallow. Obviously he was sleeping between the feet of the statue, the happy prince. Okay. When he was about to sleep, a large drop of water fell on him. What a curious thing. Here the meaning of curious is strange. Curious. C-U-R-I-O-U-S. Here the meaning is given strange. What a curious thing. What a strange thing. Why did he say that? Because he found that actually he didn't find it. He felt it. He felt a large drop of water fell on him. The stars are quite clear and bright, and yet it is raining. Then another drop fell. He was in a dilemma. Dilemma means, like he was confused again. Who? The swallow. It's really a clear sky. It looks like that it's not going to rain, obviously. So what kind of water just fell on me? Okay, so this was the confusion that he was having. Who? The swallow was having this confusion. Then, as he was just thinking, another drop fell also. That instance, again. And it was falling, kept on falling. Okay, and it was not raining. So he just looked above. Let's see what must have happened. Let's see what is going to happen. When the bird sat in between the feet of the happy prince, it was surrounded with gold. So it thought that it had a bedroom made of gold because it was surrounded by gold all around. As it was about to sleep, as it was putting its head under the wing, suddenly a large drop of water fell on it. The bird was surprised because all of a sudden a drop of water fell on the swallow, and it thought that it's not neither raining. No, the rainy season was going on. Okay, so this is just the repetition of the same explanation which I have already given to you, but make sure that you are understanding, all right, line by line. Fine. The swallow could not believe this because the sky was not cloudy and stars were shining. There was no sign of rain, of course, because the sky was clear, the stars were shining. Okay, just then another drop. Whenever he is thinking that where this water is coming, he'll be actually completely amazed. It's not raining, and where this drop is actually coming from. All right, what is the use of a statue if it cannot keep the rain off? Again, he's talking to himself. Okay, who? The swallow. In between the feet of the statue, he is talking to himself. He said, I must look for a good chimney pot, and he determined to fly away. Let's see the explanation. The swallow thought that the statue was useless because it was not able to protect it from the rain. Such a big, huge statue, okay? And the statue is not able to protect or give the shelter to the poor swallow. That's what the swallow was talking to himself. The swallow thought that it was better if it took shelter in a chimney of a house, and thought to move away from there because the statue was not able to protect the swallow from the rain. Yes. So obviously, right, whenever it's raining, what you will be looking for? What you will be looking for whenever it's raining? A shelter, an umbrella, or a raincoat. What you would do? Yes, of course you would do that. You will look for an umbrella, or you will look for a shelter or a raincoat whenever it's raining. So obviously the swallow was thinking the same thing. It's raining. Come on, I have to find a better place for me to stay. Okay, so he thought of to find a chimney pot of a house where he could stay and sleep the entire night. Okay, but before he had opened his wings, a third drop fell, and he looked up and saw. What did he see? This is there in your book. Okay, I'm repeating. But before he had opened his wings, a third drop fell, and he looked up and saw. What did he see? What did he see? Do you have any clue that what the swallow must have seen? Okay. Before the bird flew away, the third drop of water fell on him, and it looked up. What did he see? Let's find out. The eyes of the happy prince were filled with tears. This is what had happened. I think I asked you this question, that what it must have been in the form of water which was falling from the sky, as the swallow was thinking, right? The eyes of the happy prince were filled with tears. The statue and the eyes, the precious stones like sapphires, they were actually placed in his eyes. They were not eyeballs, by the way. So the swallow could see the tears coming out of his eyes of the statue. Do you believe that? Yes, you will have to believe it, because it's saying like that, right, in the story. You'll have to. We are learning something from all the lessons which are given in the book, so please follow. The eyes of the happy prince were filled with tears, and tears were running down his golden cheeks. Cheeks means the face. Okay, his face was so beautiful in the moonlight that the little swallow was filled with pity. "Who are you?" he said. This is there in your book. Have a look. The bird, swallow, is now asking this question to the statue. "Who are you? Why are you having tears in your eyes?" And the statue responded, "I am the happy prince. I am the happy prince." "Why are you weeping then?" This is again the statement of the swallow. Here, weeping is actually crying. W-E-E-P, weep. It's a verb. Okay? Weep, wept, wept, weeping. So, why are you weeping then? He is asking. Who is asking? To whom? The swallow, that is the bird, is asking to the statue, the happy prince. "You have quite drenched me." Here the meaning of drench is soaked with water, because the swallow was completely now wet because of his tears, the tears of the statue. Here the bird was completely wet because of the tears of the statue. Happy prince was crying. The bird asked the statue that it was crying. And we'll have to find out in my next class that why the statue was crying. And what must have happened to the swallow, we'll find out in my next class. And before, if you could do that and find out actually the complete lesson, that I would be a happy person if you do that. So what you have to do you have to wait for me for the next class to complete the story? Yes, you will have to. But before that, please, you are having your book, read the story. It's seriously a story which will be giving you a lesson. And of course, you are going to love the story, and because it's full of emotion. Okay? Here we will be getting to know to the happy prince that what had happened to him. And we'll be finding out also about the swallow, whether he will be able to fly to Egypt or not. Before he could fly to Egypt, what had happened with the swallow and the happy prince. For that, you will have to wait for my next class. Okay? Okay. So here, I call it a day. Hashtag stay safe, stay healthy. Goodbye.